calling you, and if you can, again, state your name and affiliation, I would appreciate it. Coach?
Yeah, first I'd like to congratulate Anders Carlson for being named to the AFCA Good Works team. So congratulations on that. And we're on to Missouri this week. I thought the guys did a good job on Sunday. The energy, the focus was where it needed to be to come out there, make some corrections, and then get on to the next opponent, flush the last game, and get ready for Missouri. Missouri's a very good team. All right, they're 2-1. Know some of the coaches on the staff, have a relationship with Eli Drinkwitz, Bush Hamden, and Blake Baker, who all worked for me at one point. Blake was the defensive coordinator at Miami for Manny Diaz. All right, so there's some connections there. All really good coaches, great people, and know a few other support staff as well on their staff there. So know they're going to be prepared, well coached, ready to play. It's an 11 a.m. game, so we're going to come in and work on that throughout the week. Just be ready to go early in the morning, and we got to show up Saturday and wake up, eat, put our suits on, and then tiger walk, and away we go. But overall, watching them, you see a lot of things on the offensive side. They're creative. They have a bunch of different formations. They move guys around. They try to create matchups. So there's creativity on that side of the ball. Defensively, no different. Play hard. Still trying to win their matchups. Some one-on-one situations they're going to create. They bring pressures, but they do play hard. Special teams. Again, they got the better players out there, and those guys are giving themselves a chance to make some plays. So overall, just very quality football team. Don't know where they're going to be at necessarily in their prep, and our focus really comes to us. What we have to do and the things that we've got to make sure that we focus on to get better this week, and we'll do that. And I think the guys, they're excited to get back to work, and Tuesday practice will be a big one for us just to get a majority of our game plan in and get ourselves refocused on what we have to do this week to be a better football team and play against a good one. It's SEC play. All right, the goal is to be 1-0. So with that, questions?
Jason?
Bryan, Jason Caldwell, Auburn 7. No score dictated a lot of the second half, but first half still threw it. Twice as much as ran it. Is it important to kind of give more credence to that run game and try to establish that early in the game, especially?
Yeah, we want to run the football, but every game is different. You guys don't sit in the meetings and all that and look at the game plan and what they're trying to do too. There's really very little understanding of what their defense was trying to get done as well. So that dictates the game. All right, we can run into 9-10 guys sometimes if we need to, but our coaches, that's why we put together game plans, and you have your openers, you have your plays that you want to hit in the first half, and that's exactly what we try to do. And if we execute some of those plays, it's going to look a lot different at the end of the day.
Bryan, they got a really talented freshman receiver in Luther Burke.
Yeah, he's really good.
What do you do you mix up looks for him? Is it just a matter of sort of improving those one-on-one matchups down there?
Yeah, you try to do it all for that guy, right? Mix it up, play man coverage. At some point, someone's got to match up on him, right? And I think that's the one thing, that's a challenge for us, is you got to match up on a guy sometimes. You got to cover one-on-one. You can only get in the zone so often. But yeah, it's a mixture of defenses too. That's one of the things. He's one of the players on their side of the ball that we have to try to slow down. All right, so it's one guy. And they've got others that they can utilize too, a lot of other personnel, and that's football. That's really what it comes down to. You got to be able to go against everybody that you're facing, and you got to be able to execute your assignments. And we're really at that stage. Just we got to execute and do our job. But he's a good player, so we got to know where he's at. They're trying to get him to football. We've seen that. They do a good job of that. They will find creative ways to get the ball in his hands, and when they do, we got to be in position to help make play or surround him and make plays on the ball.
Bryan, after the game, Shank was asked about some of the mental issues with the team and thought that there might be some lack of maturity on this roster right now. Do you feel like that's a fair assessment of where this team is right now?
Who assessed the mental issues on the team?
Shank.
All right, but that was a question he was asked?
He was asked about some of the mental lapses throughout the game, just the errors throughout the game. And he
so it's not a mental, you're asking, did we make a mistake on the play? All right, it's not necessarily the mentality of the team, is what you're asking, right? So yeah, there was mess ups. All right, there were things that we didn't do correctly. That's the execution piece. That's the part, that you talk about, where I talk about, where execution is the key, right? If you got to be in a gap, you're in a gap. If you have to cover a man, you cover a man. If you have to run the right route, you run the right route. I mean, that's not really anything to do with the mentality. That's simply executing the job you're supposed to do. There's 11 guys and they all have an assignment. And I think that we're not assignment sound. That's an issue. Mentally, it's really nothing to do with rah-rah and things like that. I mean, all that stuff is there. The urgency, the energy, things like that. I mean, that happens in practice. That's all there. And speeches and all that stuff. That's not going to change the fact that a guy runs the wrong route. It's not going to change the fact that the guy's in the wrong gap. I mean, it's pretty matter of fact, and that's what I share with the team. Football is pretty matter of fact. You got 11 guys out there. You got assignments. You got to do your job. And when you don't do that and somebody exposes you on that, then things happen. All right, and you wonder why a big play or they rip off a big run or we don't have somebody in the flat when a quarterback's rolling out. That wasn't designed that way. And so if we execute what's designed, we have a better shot of executing our plays. All right, and they're going to work better. At least we give ourselves a chance. So to me, that's really what it is. It's about execution. It's not so much about mentality and all those things that create the drama. It's really just matter of fact. Run the route, be in the gap, do your job. That's really what it comes down to, and that's the message that I've tried to send to our players and keep it very simple from that standpoint, because we want to make it bigger than what it really is. If we do it all right, there's emotion that comes with that when you're executing what you're supposed to do. Then you get to play with that energy and emotion that makes you a good player, but you got to be able to do your part first.
Bryan.
Yes, Brian Matthews, Auburn Sports Psychology. Coach, when you looked at the film, your offensive line, how did you grade them out or felt they performed? Are you going to make any changes there as far as personnel or how you coach them?
Yeah, not that I would tell you right now. I mean, we'll look at practice. We'll let guys compete. Yeah, I think that's the beauty of it too. I mean, guys are still competing. This is not a set team. I don't think any team, there's a few teams, take that back. There's a few teams that are set that I've seen that are pretty good. But they got guys that want to play. You got to let guys compete. And we didn't play up to our standard or what I thought we were capable of doing. So some of that was us, some of that was Penn State. Sometimes you get in a one-on-one matchup, you just get whooped. So what is that? It's a fundamental, correction that you got to make. Is it a scheme correction or is it just a pure fundamental physical correction? Those are things that we assessed, and it's a little bit of both. So that's what you work on in practice. You're going to go out there and you're going to work on scheme, or you're going to go out there and you're going to punch the bag for a while, right? I mean, really just getting better at the one-on-one situation. So it was a combination of both things, and we will identify. We've identified that. We'll work on it this week, and then we'll let guys compete on the O-line, get the best 5 out there.
Boss.
Well, I hope you're doing as well as possible today. What are some things you would say the team has done well through these 3 games, and how can you build on that to get where you want to go?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of things that we've done well that I've seen. And again, you guys get to see a very small portion of what we do. You see the game, which is the most important thing, right? That's at the end of the week, that's the test. You guys get to watch the test. All the prep and all those things that we've been doing, I think there's some really good things that we've done. I think there's still there's a long ways to go when it just comes to what we focus on. I think that's the biggest thing. All right, where our focus goes, all right, what's important, what matters. I think that has to continue to be something that we address. But guys have gotten better in those areas. We're still just not there yet to raise that standard where we need to be, and to put in, the work each and every day to get to Saturday, so that we don't have some of the mistakes that we made, because it matters on Tuesday. Tuesday matters for Saturday, all right, and so on. But I think a lot of guys have handled that well. I think some guys are still working through it, but we got to get there as a team. It's 9 guys doing their part and 2 are not. That affects you, right? Because those 2, I mean, they might be point of attack guys, and then you wonder why something happened. Well, we weren't in the right spot or didn't do what we needed to do, or we got to coach it better too. I mean, you look at that too. If we're doing it right and it's wrong, then we got to fix it as coaches. But I think the team has handled each game, and even after Penn State, that was disappointing. Everybody felt that. They came out on Sunday, and I've said this, players don't hang on to this stuff as long as we do. They got practice, they got individual, they got a condition, they got to get on to what's next. And I thought they did that. There was urgency. They were moving around. I mean, I think there was a sense of like, that wasn't good enough. And I think guys were pissed. and you can feel that. All right, I can handle that. I can handle somebody, we make a mistake or we don't have a performance. If you come back and you want to work and you want to improve it and you don't want that to happen again and your attitude shows that, I'm good with that. If it doesn't matter, I'm not good with that. I think guys really showed that on Sunday.
Second row, Bryan.
Coach Harsin, Bryan Wilson, in the game on Saturday, we saw TJ Finley clutch at his shoulder a little bit. Robbie Ashford even looked like he was wincing at certain times. What's the health of those two guys going into week 3?
Yeah, they're good. They're good. I mean, I think they weren't the only two, right? On either side of the ball. I mean, there's guys landing. I mean, it's football, right? Guys get up and, but those guys are good. Those guys are good going in this week.
Hey,
Bryan, how difficult is it, I guess, to evaluate your quarterback when, like in the first half, TJ Finley, and then in the second half with Robbie, where like you said, you go behind, you need to throw the ball a little bit more. Does that make it difficult for y'all to assess them, or how can you sort of find an even plane in terms of going?
Yeah, it doesn't make it difficult to assess. I mean, the situation's difficult, but you just watch the plays, watch how they execute them, watch the operation and all that. I mean, it's still, you can evaluate that. So sometimes you get in the last, final few minutes of the game and you're trying to do some things maybe crazy to get back into it. That's hard because you're trying to make plays. And we still had time. If you think about it, halftime, I mean, it's 14-6. So, and that's just something we learned from. But we're on to Missouri, and we've taken that information from this game. We've applied it. All right, we're on to the next thing, and we'll learn from that. And I think, we get in those same situations, we'll be better, hopefully better in some of those moments when we get back in those situations again.
up top.
Coach, coming off a loss Saturday, and then when you look ahead to the SEC meat of the schedule, you guys coming up the next month, would you categorize this Saturday night as a must-win?
I would categorize every Saturday as a must-win. Yeah, I don't really have an answer for you there. Yes. All right. And anytime you ask me that from this point on, yes. All right, it's a must-win. I mean, that's why we do what we do, right? I don't think there's a game I've ever told anybody like, hey guys, we lose this one, we'll be all right. We'll get on to the next one. All right. And I'm being serious. I know what you're asking. All right, but yeah, I mean, every single game. That's what you do, and it's things like that. I mean, that's the stuff. Like for me, I know what the answer is, and what's hard is sometimes the guys that sit in this room, they hear that stuff too. All right, it's always that way. I mean, that should be the mindset.
Mark, you have a question? Okay, I'm sorry, I thought you raised your hand. Boz?
You mentioned Finley and Asher both being healthy. Finley didn't play in that fourth quarter. Where is he at as a starter, and is there a possibility of Calzada or Holden getting some run going forward?
Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, we'll let guys compete this week. It's Monday. We haven't decided that. What we're going to do through the week of practice, that'll be decided. But we'll let guys compete, and we'll put the best guys out there on Saturday to go play.
So for clarification, you're saying you technically don't have a starter name for a quarterback?
For clarification, what I just told you is what I'm saying.
I don't mean to understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I answered it.
Okay.
Bryan?
Yeah, Bryan Matthews, AuburnSports.com. Defensively, you weren't credited with any sacks or quarterback hurries according to Auburn stats.
Right.
From what I could see, you maybe brought more than 3 or 4 times. Would you like to see the defense be more aggressive, or are you pleased with that result?
No, I'm not pleased with that result. Yeah, I mean, no sacks. Yeah, you got to be able. Now teams get the ball out, but yeah, you want to put pressure on the quarterback. You want to hit the quarterback. You want to get to him, and I think we have guys that should be able to do that. So, that's going to create hopefully some opportunities for us. All right, to create some negative plays and maybe get the offense behind the chains. So, no, I don't think there's anything, in that question right there. Am I happy with that whatsoever? I don't think the defense is happy. I don't think anybody on the D-line is happy, or any linebacker that blitzed. I don't think there's anybody out there going like, yeah, we came out with no sacks, we're good. So that's part of it though. But it's one thing to want to and one thing to get it done, right? And that's really what it comes down to. We want to do these things. Well, then we got to find a way to make it happen. And if that's coaching, scheme, player, whatever, that's part of the execution. If we're coming after a guy, we got to go get him.
John?
John Zaner, Associated Press. From a physical standpoint, is that because Ada, is he healthy? Is it just the other guys are better in practice, or is he still not 100%?
You know something I don't?
I don't know anything.
Yeah. No, I mean, he's competed like everybody else. And those guys, you know, every single week, I mean, those guys get opportunities. And we try to play the best players. You know, and again, that's what happens from Sunday through Friday.
Anything else? All right, Coach.